Hey, what's up everyone? Jamie here from CLA Community Learning Alternatives, and it is another Motivation Monday video. We do this every week where we compile the best and greatest and most motivating videos on productivity, self-development, personal growth, the stuff that gets us going throughout the week. Mondays don't have to suck. They're an opportunity to start fresh and get things done. All right, let's get underway with our first video from our old friend Matt Diavella. He talks about how his social media use has recently changed for the better.
Just over a year ago, I'd say my social media use was pretty typical. Up until that point, I didn't place any limitations or boundaries on how I used it. I'd wake up looking at Instagram, spend much of the day posting to Twitter, and I used Facebook to see my high school classmates fight over politics. You know, how it was intended to be used. Then I saw my friend Jason Zook make a post on Instagram saying that he was taking the month off. He was deleting social media from his phone and logging out of all accounts on his computer for 30 days.
My entire identity was tied to who I was online, and I felt like if I didn't post or I wasn't there, it was like I wasn't even doing anything interesting. I wasn't an interesting person. It's like, that is such a messed up thought. When you get to that place, like, you're no longer in control of how you're using that platform. That platform's controlling you. And I was like, I have to take the power back.
Jason's post piqued my interest, but I couldn't help but think that he was making a huge mistake. You see, Jason, like myself, runs his business online and relies on social media to keep that engine running. I looked at what he was doing and thought, oh my God, all your followers, all these people that have been waiting to hear from you year after year are gonna forget that you existed. And I also thought, oh my God, you're also gonna miss out on all this inspiration and value and connections that you get through social media. My reaction was similar to the first time I heard about minimalism. That's great for him, but I would never be able to do it because of fill in the blank. The excuses and rationalizations worked for a bit. It would put my life's work in jeopardy, I told myself. I'd stop making money. I'd digitally fall off the face of the earth. But then Jason quit social media, came back, and well, the world kept turning, and his business was fine. As it turns out, he's been doing it for years. Twice a year, in fact.
It is the most clarity of thought during those times. It's like everything recalibrates for me. I get this whole refreshed creativity. It's like I was talking about recharging those batteries. Like, I'm itching to get back to stuff by the end of 30 days, but I'm also really excited because it's like I've taken control of these platforms. And then I can go back and go, yeah, it's fine. I missed some stuff. I didn't post things. And guess what? Everybody's still here. You know, nothing really changed.
It's one of those things that's so simple, yet we often never think about it. It's like switching up a gym routine that we've grown bored of, or ending a relationship that's toxic and negative, or maybe even quitting a job that you've been dragging your feet to. A lot of times we do things because that's the way that they've always been done, but the truth is that is a horrible reason to do anything. So I began to think about it some more. I mean, really, how bad could it be? What could really go wrong by committing to 30 days? And come to think of it, Instagram had really been stressing me out lately. And as much as I enjoy the drama every once in a while, Facebook seemed like a complete waste of time. And I keep accidentally offending people on Twitter. Okay, maybe intentionally. I wondered how my days would change without it, how much more productive I would become, how much more peaceful my mornings and nights would be. And then I did it. I quit social media for 30 days. And I made a video about it. There's a sense of clarity that you get when you take a step away from the compulsive checking. It's really hard to explain. It's really impossible to quantify, but I can tell you that I simply felt better by being away from it. So I saw a ton of benefits in that 30-day period, that small window when I did the social media detox. But what was most surprising to me were the changes that occurred after. That would be the 400 days since I went on that detox until today. And some of those changes still stick with me to this day. To begin with, it was the first 30-day challenge I completed on this channel, which led me to do another 11 in the year that followed. As I experimented with everything from cold showers to counting calories and quitting coffee. That alone was a great takeaway. To feed my curiosity for experimenting with new things and pushing myself further out of my comfort zone and leaning more into my own self-development that I had in years. But I didn't realize just how impactful it would be on how I used social media. A lot of times we try experiments and challenges and we attempt to build habits only to inevitably fall back into our old patterns and routines. This is probably the most frustrating thing about trying to build a habit. Yet something about quitting social media for 30 days just clicked something in my head. It woke me up to the problem that social media had become in my own life. And I realized just how much of a distraction it was, how little I needed it, and how little I missed it once I left. And so there were changes that stuck beyond that 30 days that I have continued to uphold since then. First, I haven't kept any social media apps on my phone consistently. Instead, I install them when I want to use them, sometimes for an hour, sometimes for a day, and then I delete them. These days, the only app that I do that with is Instagram. Your self-restraint might be a little bit better than mine, but I personally find that I quickly and compulsively default to checking Instagram when it's installed on my phone. The challenge you'll likely find is that once you delete social media from your phone, you'll immediately replace it with something else, whether it's Reddit, the news, a video game, another distracting app. It's like whack-a-mole for apps. And so to prevent this from happening, the best thing that I've found to do is to actually increase your distance from your phone. So leave your phone in your bedroom, leave it in your car, leave it at home. Whatever you do, just don't leave it on you. After my social media detox, I also decided to stop using Facebook. I deleted my public Facebook account and only use my private account for Facebook Messenger, which I rarely use at that. As much as I loved sitting back and watching the high school drama unfold, it just wasn't worth holding on to. My favorite change since I slowed down my time on social, I compare myself to others much less often. I'm reminded every time I log into Instagram just how much that little voice in the back of my head starts to talk shit. That person's a better filmmaker than you. Wow, they're much further along in their career than you. And hey, that guy's got bigger biceps than you. No matter where you're at in life, it's difficult not to have these kind of thoughts. And I find that constant scrolling only helps to support them. On and on the voice goes, making comparisons and accusations against my worth. Yes, there are ways to control this voice, like through meditation, but I find that not feeding it to begin with helps the most. So I don't. And hey, side note, I think that sometimes distractions are actually a good thing. Sometimes we have bad days, we're frustrated, we just want to go browse Netflix, click on something that's going to allow us to turn our brains off. We want to scroll through social media and see what our friends are up to. We just want a distraction from a shitty day. And I think that's completely okay. I think what I'm talking about here is more so when these problems become so big that we start to overlook other areas of our life. We're not going to the gym as much. We're maybe feeling like we're in a negative spiral because we keep comparing ourselves to others. Now that's where I think the changes really need to happen.
When I come back to it, I then get super intentional about how I use it. So then I go, okay, I check Instagram twice a day. Because, man, I would love to scroll through Instagram all day long because it's great. It's a curated feed of beautiful things. It's really awesome. It's really interesting. But I don't want it to control my life. I want the time that that's taking up to be creating things of my own, to be exploring, experimenting other things. And so you really do just become intentional. You take that break and then you come back and you go, I don't want that stuff anymore to happen in my life. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm not in control of my usage of these things. And so that's why these social media detoxes, man, they've just been so helpful for me.
Now, here's the part where I throw it back to you. What if you quit social media for 30 days? Don't worry, the world's going to keep turning, and we'll be here when you get back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Up next, a great interview by author and podcaster Tim Ferriss with actor-comedian Kevin Hart on the power of positivity in his life and career. And an important note, this is an interview with Kevin Hart, so expect some profanity, but in a good way.
I want to talk about positivity, or hear you talk about positivity, because, for instance, I was reading a piece in Variety that seemed to me to indicate that you are a master of managing energy and avoiding energy leaks. And for instance, the decision to allow your children to get to know their grandfather, your father, the quote that stuck out to me was, it takes too much time and energy to keep hate alive. And for those people who don't know, I mean, your father was an addict. You've spoken about him publicly before, a contentious relationship. How have you developed that positivity? Was that mostly from your mom? How do you think about that?
Well, when you come from the bottom,
yeah,
and you work your way up to when you work your way up to the place that some people refer to as the top, I mean, what do I have to be angry about? What do I have to really bitch and complain about and harp on? You know what I mean? Like I really do come from nothing. I'm a part of a very small percentage. So in understanding that and knowing that, the things that are supposed to act as triggers, the things that are supposed to be life-changing, threatening, altering, are just lessons. It's just education. It's stories, for lack of a better word, You got an amazing story under your belt, and I don't choose to stay in one particular paragraph of my story. It's a long story, and the life is as long as, of course, we are all given the chance for it to be, because that's something that we have no control. We only try to enhance the opportunity of longevity or success. We don't have no control. You can walk outside and something could happen, boom, and that's it. So I just have a realistic approach and understanding to that. I come from nothing, I got something. I'm appreciative of my something. I don't look at this something as if I'm supposed to have it, because that's not how it works. I'm very fortunate and blessed too. It could all go away. If it did and I had to start all over again, that's life. I don't harp on it. I don't bitch and complain about the things that I can't change. And the things that you can change, why spend time bitching if you're going to change it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you look at, for example, a relationship with me and my father, did my father fuck up? Yeah. Did my father get himself clean and straight? Yeah. Does my father feel bad about some of the stuff that he did? Yeah. Could you still be angry at the lack of parenting that was done or the time that was spent? Yeah. But why? It doesn't change it. It doesn't change anything that happened. It doesn't make it right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, that anger that you're giving off into that is not going to change these things. So that's energy that I feel like I can put into something else. That's energy that I feel like I can get a lot more use out of that energy that would have been negative by finding a way to say, you know what, I do forgive you and I mean that. And that life now hopefully is better for us. If it's not, I know that it's not because of me. I don't like putting myself in a position to easily be affected. I think life is too short. It's too short. And if you just spend time being affected all the fucking time, those are tough days, man. If you're bothered all the time, there's a lot of shit to be bothered about today. You can be bothered by a lot of shit. If you're the person that's really bothered, then how pleasant are you to be around? Yeah. If there's just so much anger and so much negative energy, I just choose the opposite direct and approach. And I mean, that doesn't make me perfect. I'm nowhere near perfect. I done fucked up. I done did stupid shit, and I've apologized. And if I can be, if those apologies can be accepted, then great. It's fantastic. If they can't, well, I can't do anything about that. I can't put any more energy into the things that I've tried to do or make right. If you choose to still feel a certain way, God bless you. I'm going to keep living. That's my attitude.
And finally, author of the best-selling book, Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, David Allen talks about one of his most important concepts, the 2-minute rule.
Actually, it's a tip I'd give anybody, anytime. And those of you familiar with the Getting Things Done methodology will know this already. It's the magic of the 2-minute tool. The 2-minute tool basically says, look, any action you figured out that you could actually complete within 2 minutes, of where you are, in the context you are, in the location you are, you're better off to do that right then than to hang up on it, not do it, put it in the backlog or whatever, because frankly, that's the efficiency factor. It would take you less than 2 minutes to do it, but it would take you longer than 2 minutes to look at it again and review it and reflect on it later on. So this is a pure efficiency factor, the 2-minute rule. Anything you can do in less than 2 minutes, if you need to do it at all, then do it right then. And people say, well, gee, if I spent my whole day doing 2-minute stuff, I'd never get anything else done. Well, first of all, you'd be amazed how many strategic things have just a 2-minute action that are required on it. And not only that, why should these things still be around? You either delete them, or if they're shown up, then they should be finished in the moment they're there. I never have any backlog of 2-minute stuff because they're all done. So the 2-minute stuff, but first of all, the key thing is decide what's the very next action on something I need to do about any of this change that's happened, any of this stuff I'm involved in right now. What would I need to do next? Once you've decided very clearly and specifically what that is, if you can do it in less than 2 minutes, do it right then. Teflon, boom, in and out. You'd be amazed. I've had many executives tell me that was worth the price of admission just for that habit if they didn't have that already. So hopefully you've built that in, or you will build that in. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it. 2-minute tip for turbulent times, indeed.
That's all for this week. If you have any questions about anything we've covered during a Motivation Monday video, or have any suggestions, please leave us a comment below. Check out What the Tech Wednesdays each week, and please like and subscribe. We'll be back next week for another Motivation Monday. Thanks for watching.